Hello and welcome to today's live training. I'm Serena.Ryan, and today's training is all about the 7 steps to have social media impact without wasting time or money. That is a passion of mine in business and life. It's important we make the most of what we have available and do it to achieve what we want. I am very passionate, so you're going to get a lot of that out of me today because I want to help people do the best with what they have. And today's training is live, so there will be some slides that I'll talk through, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about me, the way I teach, and how I help people understand digital marketing. Joining me today is the wonderful Chantel Hills. She is the producer of today's live stream, and she will be found in the comments. So say hi to her, and you'll get to see how incredible she is at helping support me to be able to basically do the training and also help you with all your questions. When you do ask them, a couple of things. You can ask them if you have subscribed to the channel, which means it helps everyone keep those questions authentic and on task and avoid any spamming, which is a really great benefit. It's a really cool tool that Chantel did actually teach me with regards to doing live streams. Having people subscribe to the channel makes it easier to have a higher quality chat. So that will actually help. So if you've got a question today, make the most of my 20 plus years in marketing and digital marketing specifically and social media, and ask those questions. Today's training, I want to make a point of ensuring you get as much value as you can. I have all different ways I teach. I do one-to-one training and group training, and as well as having resources like today's live training available via YouTube. I also have paid resources as well. Know that no matter what format I teach and the way in which I bring value is to ensure you have learning. So know that you can take today's training and be on your way and have some great wins. And know that I will also, through today's training, give you options and information on how else you can also work with me. Today is all about you understanding what you literally have available at your fingertips to be able to make the most of what you have available to you before you go into the paid arena. This training came out of me working with people doing paid advertising and seeing that they needed to have a stronger foundation to build from. When we can make the most of the strong foundation we have first before we do paid ads, you end up spending less money. I really want to emphasize that. So if you're all about making the most of what you have first before you step into the paid arena to grow your business, then this is why you are here for today's training. Now, I'll get into our slide deck now, and something I want to point out as well. It's almost like a pun. Talk about, have you ever heard that saying, death by PowerPoint? We're not about that here today. If you've got questions as I go through the training, don't hesitate to ask the questions, because I want to ensure that this training is interactive, informative, and you get to be able to take action that will move the needle in your business. So ask your questions, say hi to Chantel for me in the comments there, and we'll move forward. Now, what we want to see here is it's so incredibly easy for us to I want to ask a question here. Make sure that we're actually showing in the right format. I can see coming up on screen, we've got the welcome slide front. I'm going to do this here. This is actually quite, You know, my people, this is the joys of doing live training. I've learnt how to make the most of the deck that I currently have. Now, here you see me on this slide, right? Things do not happen, things are made to happen. Much the same as me finding the right button on my mouse right now. You've got to be able to move forward. And the best thing you can do moving forward is find the right place to head. You've got to start off with a plan. When I started my business back in 2014, I wanted to achieve a personal goal at the same time as running my business. I knew that that would motivate me to move forward. And that goal was to run the New York Marathon. Now, this is actually me standing in New York in this image that's on screen. It took me 12 months of consistent training, and I did this while starting my business. What it did for me was it meant that I had a personal goal, which was health related for me to run the marathon, but also a financial goal to be able to get to where that event was. Because getting to New York from Australia was not an easy thing, not an impossible thing. I realized I needed to have something to focus on to be able to get there. And by doing that, it enabled me to see how important it was to take action to make things happen. And it also made me realize that when you set significant goals for yourself in business or life, those goals, to be able to get there, can be broken down into lots of little steps. And when we can take consistent action in the direction we want to go, knowing what our big goal is, it enables it to make it easier. And I think that's a really important thing to take out of this training, is that we have this assumption of obligation that we have to be doing things, particularly in social media, to be able to get visibility. But if we're not clear on what our big goal is we want to achieve to get there, then we're actually going to be spinning wheels a lot. And that ends up being a lot of waste of our time and or money. So I would say to you, when you're clear and thinking about your business and even social media, don't feel that it's got to be an obligation. It's got to be tied to something bigger than the daily tasks. And then you can line up the tasks towards achieving the goal that you want. And for me, the biggest thing in this is okay. When we can look at, this is for me, achieving a marathon in a year, I look at social media, and this is the irony of it, right? We want instant gratification by doing social media posts, and they're quick and easy, much the same as a sprint would be quick and a quick task to be done. When I break down social media into 7 steps of a sprint, it enables us to see that there's more to it than just doing a single post, because a single post doesn't enable us to achieve the bigger goal. Short term, yes, but long term doesn't get to the bigger goal. And consistently, when people are wanting to move into social media, it is seeing that it's usually done because there's a bigger reason for a business. As much the same, it's usually a marathon that they want to achieve. It's a bigger goal. Making sure we understand that it's lots of little steps that will get you there. And little did I realize that my lifelong goal that I'd had, my goodness, for nearly 20 years to run a marathon would teach me so much about a business, and to help you see as well, when you can break it down into those little steps, you will make your life easier in being able to achieve your bigger goals that you're after. So getting into that, right? Do you ever feel like when you start in any kind of social media content, that you're shouting out into a void, that you actually want to get attention, but you're not exactly sure where it should be going. And you're not alone when it comes to that. Rather than shouting out into the void, these 7 steps to follow are ones that will enable you to get clarity. And also, let's face it, you've got 500 other things you need to get done in your business and also your personal life too. If you're having to be consumed by doing social media through obligation, 1, it's going to be hard to stick to, and 2, it also is wasting your time. And realizing that there's 2 things. You don't want to waste your time because you can't get your time back. And if you're wasting your money, then you're actually having to work that much harder to get more money to be able to finance the things that you're wasting. And we don't want that either. So the most cost-effective method of advertising is to amplify what is working. And when we look at that, we need to figure out what's working. So we've got to figure out where to be first and how to be there, and to do it with impact. Getting into your platforms. Now, social media is where you think you need to be first, right? Well, with social media, this is the thing. The platforms, there's so many of them. And I'd love you just to take a moment and go, hang on a minute, my ideal customers, what platforms do they live on? And focus on those. I have highlighted here 2 things. I love coffee, so I love explaining social media as a cup of coffee. And the other side of it is only pick 2. Yeah, I'm going to say only 2, because it'll be incredibly easy for you to go out and be in all the platforms. And if you're in all the platforms all of the time, you're going to waste your time. Can't stress that enough. And the reason I've highlighted Facebook and Instagram is there's still, whilst there are other contenders out there, and this is why you've got to do a little bit of thinking about where your ideal customers are, those 2 platforms are still the largest, and they tend to have a large customer base. But don't take my word for it. Look at where your customers are and pick the 2 that are most relevant to you to be in, because that will make your life easier, automatically saving you time and money being there. Because basically, if you try to be everything to everyone, you are going to spin in circles and waste your time. And if you can remember why you're here today, you don't want to waste your time or your money. So this is important, to pick the ones that you want to focus on and stay there. Now, your circumstances may change based on the capacity of your resources you have available, but this is about keeping it simple to enable you to grow your base, to build from, and that will enable things to be easier for you, to save you time and money and resources when you're in social media. Now, the road that you're on, this is something to think about, the world we live in. Every time I do a live video, I get client inquiries, and I always find that incredible, that you can see the power of people being able to engage with you and talk with you and see who you are. Don't underestimate that. When my clients use digital and get in there and start using it, I have clients who have 10x their business by embracing digital fully. And it's important to see that when you can do it with purpose and understand that it's not about doing it through obligation, you have a huge opportunity to make the most of it. And one of the most incredible things I do now, reality is we all have a phone. I've got mine here right next to me, and I'm sure you do too. If you're not watching this on your phone, you've probably just gone into a panic attack wondering where on earth your phone is. This is a world in which we are ruled by having smartphones. Yet one of the most underutilized things I see with business owners is the fact that they have this phone available to them. Make the most of it. Pick it up and start documenting, and sharing through using your phone, and you'll be surprised how cost effective that is, not just to be able to capture and create content, but also save on your resources. You'd be amazed at the high quality content you can get from your phone, and knowing how to capture that is as simple as just start using it. Now, being able to see that social media is social first, and it's important to see that we have available to us incredible connections. And it's often forgotten that social media is literally social first. And you just don't know who you're connected to or who is connected to someone else, and how many degrees of separation you are in being able to achieve your goals. Now, here you may notice as some familiar faces as I go through these slides. You start to see that when you can be focused on being connected to people and showing those relationships through social media, you enable yourself to be able to attract customers and attract clients based on not just sharing your connections, but sharing the relationships through those connections. And when you can do that, people get tired of talking or of brands only being represented. They're interested in seeing the behind the scenes, they're interested in seeing the connections, and enabling emotional connection is an opportunity to grow your business through an authentic way. Make the most of the relationships you have and who you're connected with, and don't be afraid of using social media to connect with people and people who you want to work with. Some important things to consider in your platforms is being able to see the connections between what you can make the most of, where you want to be. Now, there's an assumption that Facebook is a platform to not be on anymore. And the reality is it is in decline, maybe. And I say maybe because this is where it's important to recognize people use platforms differently. And platforms, this is the thing, and I think this is important to recognize with social media and particularly with Facebook. Facebook, whilst we might say it's in decline in the frequency of people being there, but the vast majority of people are still there. And it's important to see that in the value of the way in which the platform's being used is different. Enable it so that you can increase engagement while you're there. So if you want to see the value of how to use Facebook in 2022, it is to make sure you're engaging. And that means asking questions and also responding to people. People are craving engagement. Make the most of that. And on Instagram, this is, I find fascinating as well, is that it's going strong. Make the most of video while you're there, and know that it's actually growing, and it's an important platform to be able to use. Now, items. This is something I see commonly where people are missing the opportunity and getting overwhelmed, which then it basically leads to them not using social media because they feel like they haven't got the ability to use it through sheer overwhelm. And what that is if you can think of items to allocate, there are important things to go with. We've got to actually break down how social media is done, and that is we have three things. We've got to capture content, we've got to edit, and we've got to publish. Instead of feeling like you've got to just pop content out there and it's all done as one thing, it's actually not one thing. It is if you can capture content first, so taking a photo, taking a video, then it's editing that and adding captions to it, or a comment for it to be posted, and then it's getting published. So knowing that it's not just all bundled into one thing, if you can break it down, it can often make it much easier and also more efficient, because we waste time sitting there going, what on earth do I need to do? If we can actually break it down into that list, it means that I have clients who have days where they capture, they have, they break it down to a couple of minutes for editing, and then it's publishing. Because if you try to do it all at once, you actually end up often taking a much longer doing it, particularly if you're feeling overwhelmed. Now, community management. This is something I know Chantel is very big on, so I expect a comment or two from her on this as well. It's something that can often be forgotten because, and I do see the bottleneck, and this is where we waste the time and money on that previous slide there, where you are getting caught up in feeling like you've got to capture the content, edit the content, publish the content. And there's this big sigh of relief that we've published the content and it's all done because we've published it. We've got to also make sure that if people are commenting, that we engage with those comments, we respond to those comments, and we make people see and feel that they've been heard. Making the most of that engagement, important thing to remember, and something I'd love you to take out of today's training, is that if you, every time you engage with content, it means that I'm going to use the A word, algorithm, it means that that particular platform sees it as valuable. And the algorithm is what is used to be able to rank content and be able to show it to more people. So if content is seen as more valuable, it's shown to more people. And a way they see content as being valuable to show to more people is if the content's being engaged with. So that makes sense, right? You want to make sure that your content is seen as valuable as possible. So if someone comments, don't just like their comment. Go out of your way to respond to that comment, particularly if they're asking you a question, because that will mean that that content will gain more visibility with other people. And if you're also in this stage, and this is probably a bonus point to put in there as well, is you go, oh, well, far out, I can't even get my act together at the moment because I'm overwhelmed that I can't even publish my own content. Go out of your way to go and comment on other people's content. It's one of the most kindest things you can do, is to go and positively comment on someone else's content that has gone out of their way to create it, and see how you can actually help them gain more visibility. And do it in an authentic way, as in be useful, be helpful. What that does is you get seen by others and they go, oh, wow, who's that? And you've got an opportunity to build relationships with other people. Enabling that, instead of sitting in your own space of looking after you and getting too caught up in your own content being created, that actually gives you an incredible opportunity to get more visibility and feel like you're not actually wasting your time on social media. It's not wasting your time if you're building relationships when you're in social media. This is your opportunity to grow your business through authentic relationships. And something I love to do myself, and also feel it's gratifying to be able to do work that you enjoy. And what better thing to do than to be able to make someone else's day by commenting on their content that they've gone and spent hours creating, and know that you've made their day. It becomes an enjoyable work day. I don't know if you're like me, but I spent more than 20 years in various corporate roles and doing a lot of work experience and all kinds of jobs. And I would say not every work day was a great day. And the older I get, and probably like to think the wiser I get, I start to feel how important it is to enjoy my days. So today is a great day because I get this opportunity to share knowledge that I've gained through working with a variety of people in social media all over the world, to be able to now help people who are running their own businesses and to be honest, struggling with their time and money to be present on social media. And this particular training is close to my heart because I genuinely want to see you succeed. So if you have questions, please do ask them. I want to help you see how you could better use your time and resources to grow your business. So this isn't meant to be all, fluffy rainbows and unicorns. This is actually about growing business or cat memes. I respect cats. I do, but cat memes, they don't. Well, they can be relevant to your business if you're going to go there. If you do want to post them, just make the comment relevant. So maybe you're running a pet store. Okay, you can have a cat meme. But you've got to make sure whatever caption you add to your social media has a way to tie back to your values or your business offering. That would be my biggest tip. Otherwise, that viral cat meme is not going to help your business. Now, I think, Chantal, there you go. Meaningful comments are just gold. Think of a way you can make someone's day. And particularly if there's someone you're following in social media and you follow them and you're really impressed with what they do, go out of your way to let them know. I take great joy out of doing that to help people see it can be quite isolating if you're not commenting and letting people know if you like them or not, or like what they're doing. And in a world where I see social media has two sides to it, sometimes it's not nice out there. If you can add more good into the world to show people how you've received positive impact through the work they do, go out of your way to let them know. And I can't say any more succinctly than that. That's actually something I think more positivity in the world is always a good thing. Now, community management. Oh my goodness. It's important. I can't stress it enough. If you feel like you are wasting your time or money in social media, make sure you've actually got someone looking after community management, more so than even creating content. Because I say community management is the place where you should always have a resource available. And amplification. Now, this is something, I do ads. I'm going to say that. I do. But I tell plenty of people not to do them on a daily basis because I see people wasting money in that space. If you aren't making the most of community management and creating content that connects and being able to make the most of relationship and connections, then often stepping into the paid arena is only meant to be amplifying the content that's working for you. So I would say another key outtake from today is if you haven't got all those other things happening to be able to make the most of social media organically, don't waste your money on ads. And you're right, Chantal, nurturing, protecting those that have already taken the step to join your journey is often overlooked. I'm glad you said it because I see it too. Make the most of that before doing paid. And what I've got up on screen now is something to take note of. When you do organic, you have an incredible opportunity to be able to see your analytics. It's called Insights if you're on Meta, which is Meta is the company name for the family that owns Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. Now, Meta for Business is a brilliant tool where you can set up and you've got access to insights to your posts you do on Facebook and Instagram. But regardless of social media platforms that you choose, and of course you're choosing two right now to focus on, they all have insights. When you do your organic posts, it's about understanding your insights on those platforms and then amplifying what is working. So if you are at that point ready to do ads, the key thing for you to do is look at your organic and see what posts are working for your visibility and for your engagement and for those posts that are getting sales. And they're the ones you'd be putting money behind as opposed to doing any ads. Test out the market essentially by doing your organic posts and then see which ones resonate with your audience. And they're the ones you would be looking to put out there as ads. Now, noticing opportunities. This is it, right? I have got an incredible blog post there that gives you an insight into what I look for in the insights on Facebook particularly, but you can apply it to other platforms as well. So metrics, analysis, and action. So essentially you want to look at your metrics, you want to analyze what is working, and that's basically the standards of excellence. And based on what's working, it's the ability to take action. And think of it like this, like if you do social media posts, their lifespan of visibility is pretty short-lived if there's next to no engagement. It only lives continuously online if there's regular engagement with it. And if there's lots of regular engagement, they're the posts that ends up going viral. So you've got to look at the ones who have had the most engagement, and therefore that visibility is increased, and therefore you put money behind those to get more visibility and more ability to work. So this is the thing, when we can say that's often overlooked, the engagement piece. If you've got without engagement, you don't have that ability to see a post working. So if the post isn't getting engagement, then why would you put money behind it? And if you don't have a community moderator or someone who can look after that post and make sure that everything's responded to so it's getting the most engagement, then you're actually wasting your money. So it's a double whammy. If you're not actually going to pay attention to your posts, there's going to be absolute crickets around them because you don't have a community management program in place, then you don't have that ability for that post to also thrive and do well and put money behind it. So if you're trying to put money behind posts without that engagement, people do it and they can do it, but you just have to be prepared to pay a lot more for it. So opportunities are in abundance, but don't spread yourself too thinly. Engage where your ideal customers live. And that actually comes back to saying 2 platforms. And if you're really time poor, stick to 1 platform. It doesn't have to be 2, but I find if you get to 3, that's where you start getting a lot more thinly spread and you lose your impact. So pick your platforms and go with it there. Now, team resources. I've already touched on that in a few points here. You've got to make sure you've got decent team resources. Now, Facebook Business Manager, it's still called business.facebook.com, but when you log in, it's got meta branding. That's the fun part of it with their branding changes. Canva, I've got to look at all the different platforms I use with regards to getting content created. And if I start to pick one that would be to create all different pieces of short form content for social media, hands down, I came back to Canva. Now, there's plenty of other platforms and tools that can be used, but this is about keeping that simple for you and where to start. And I also find, and this is something to watch out for, the more tools you have, the more time it takes. And potentially, if they've got paid subscriptions on them, it starts to eat up your budget as well. And I find it's quite robust to use Canva. And yeah, I'm glad you agree, Stacey. It's incredible to see it as a tool that enables people to create the social media tiles for Instagram, for Facebook. You can do Reels, you can do TikToks, you can actually do video formats there as well. And if you do go into the paid, they've got a very robust free program, but the paid program also gives you a huge resource of stock imagery to play with as well. So it's a great tool to get in there and start playing with. If you've got to think of where to go to start and get your content in the right formats for each social media platform, that is where I would start. And starting now. Gotta love it, right? There's no best time really to start than right now. I think this is something we often go, well, oh man, I feel like I'm late to the party or I haven't started yet. You will be able to start. Like, you go and feel like you're behind, all that does is put you in a negative mindset so you don't do anything. That doesn't help anybody. I can say that from experience. When I decided to run the New York Marathon, I had years, decades of being, I'm not a runner. I can't run. I even got told once, you run like a girl. Yeah, I know. I can see the irony in that. I had to get over the fact that starting out, I was going to be clumsy, I was going to be awkward and not be able to run very far. But I had to keep going for my own choice because that was my goal. And I knew if I regularly practiced, I would get better and it would give me an opportunity. And I did. I actually went and ran the New York Marathon. And that was 12 months of consistently training to be able to do it. Don't ever feel like you're in social media and you go, oh, I've done a social media post and it's terrible. I've really ballsed it up. Can't do that. It's one post. The most incredible thing you've got right now is that you can do another post and you can do another one and you can do another one and you can get better at it. So instead of getting too caught up in if it's perfect, when I talk about the metrics, analysis, action, do the posts anyway, then check your insights, and you might be surprised. I'm consistently surprised on the ones that actually work really well and go viral. Well, I use that V word very lightly. When I say viral, it's decent engagement. Again, I come back to talking about cat memes. It's tens of thousands of likes won't necessarily give you more business. But if you do a post that's related to who you are, what you stand for, and want to be known for, and that gets good engagement, then that is more valuable if it gets 10 likes and they're the people that want to connect with your message. That is your opportunity to grow your business. Focus on that and consistently putting that message out there, because before the event of social media, they used to say it was an average of 7 times someone was in contact with you before they became a customer. Since the event of social media, it's an average of 12 to 20 times someone is in contact. We're more fragmented than ever in our attention span and our ability to get people's attention. Building relationships, it's something that does take time. Think of it all as a marathon, but it's a lot more of a robust opportunity if someone's consistently connecting with your message multiple times than a one and done approach. So allow yourself that. Be kind to yourself and keep creating more content and seeing what connects with your audience that you're after. And I have to stress this. The most cost-effective method of advertising is to amplify what is working. So allow yourself to see what is working by testing and putting more out there. Use your smartphone to create your content and see where that's resonating. Now, you may be wondering how this comes together. When we're talking here, and what I see consistently is that people will look for putting out lots of content to build awareness of who they are. And what's missing, and what we've actually mentioned here today, is that middle piece, engagement. Now, a fun fact for you is that the ads manager that sits on Facebook and also over on TikTok and for Instagram as well. This is the thing, the ads manager for Instagram and Facebook is the same, TikTok, different company, but TikTok have mirrored very much what's happening over on Facebook, is that they actually give you the opportunity to set your goal for your ad, and is usually goes for awareness, or we've got engagement, or we've got conversion. They're actually building out as awareness. I call it engagement, consideration, that you're in that mix, and then conversion is what it officially will say on those platforms. When you can think of your organic content that way, it'll make it that much easier when you're building out your 12 to 20 times of someone being in contact with you. This is where, when you're clear on what your goal is with your content and who you're targeting, it makes your life so much easier to think of it as, why would someone get to know you, like you, and trust you? And that is how it literally moves through the sales funnel for someone to become a customer. When we can look at this way, we have the power of seeing how people can engage with you in different platforms. Being able to get people connecting with people, that's the word, right? You can get so caught up in your business and putting the business front out there, you miss the point of being in social media. And social media is for social. So think of it simply. How do you enable people to get to know who you are? And then how do you get them to engage and be able to then present what you do? And if you can build out your content in those three separate places, then that gives you that opportunity to have a stronger connection, and stronger connections enable more opportunities. So this is it. What does success look like? It's important to see that you define what that is and then go where your ideal customers are, and that will actually save you time and money by not just being there, but be there with impact. Take the sprint approach to your marathon to be able to grow your business in the way that you want, and enjoy yourself while you're doing it. Now, the important thing for me out of today's training is that you see the value in using social media for impact for your business instead of through obligation. Being able to do this is systematic in knowing that you've got resources available and you are literally only limited by your knowledge. I intentionally have made today's session through YouTube so that you can watch this again and again to be able to get as much value as you can from these slides and from the information I'm sharing, because I passionately believe you should have access to this information to be able to do this yourself. Now, when I talk about saving you time and money, I also see long-term how important it is for business owners to be able to make the most of what they have available to them to achieve the life they want. And it can take hours to be able to get things right. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. I've found I have been teaching what I do now since I started my business in 2014. And that off the back of nearly 20 years in doing marketing roles, I bring together to be able to help clients one-to-one. I have group training available to be able to help as well. And if you're interested in hearing more about the group training, then it'll come up on screen. The ability to subscribe at serena.ryan.com/subscribe is where I'd like you to go and join my email list. And there I will email you details, because for me, this video is not about me selling to you. No. I see how I've sat through truckloads of webinars myself, and that's not what it's about for me. I want you to be able to use this video to be able to use it as a resource to help you grow your business. And pop in the comments below this video, whether now or in a matter of weeks' time when you're doing this in real time. I want to know in the comments how this training has helped you to positively impact your business. And if you're looking for more support from me to help you with one of my other resources available, that's why I'm recommending that you go and join the email list. And you come back to this YouTube channel regularly, because this channel for me is dedicated to me sharing more freely my learning and experience of working with clients and growing businesses. With some incredible businesses, to grow them through these methods that I've talked through today. And every month, I'm doing a live stream interview with those clients that have been positively impacted by what I do. And I just get such a kick out of seeing people grow through knowing how to use what's available to them to make the most of what they have, to literally see the abundance, if the opportunities available to them at their fingertips. And yeah, we don't know each other yet, hi, I'm Serena.Ryan, and I see abundance and opportunities. I'm a digital marketer, an e-commerce strategist, and I just love seeing people get the life they want through better understanding of digital marketing tools. And thank you incredibly, Chantel, for putting up on screen there. That's exactly where you need to go to join the email list. And I can share with you more details on the group training I've got going. Starts next week. So get yourself onto that list and I can share more details there, and you can see where those opportunities come. So do we have any other questions, Chantel? How are we going today? Well, nice to see you, Stacey. I love that you've been able to come and join us today. That's fantastic. I am really grateful for the opportunity to do this today, Chantel. I feel like I've still finding my way around YouTube, to be blunt. But the eternal learner in me is grateful for the opportunity to be here, as I see the abundance of the opportunity of YouTube as a channel to be able to help and grow knowledge and experience. Okay, well, thank you everyone for today, and I look forward to seeing you in the channel. Before I go, the next live interview will actually be next Tuesday, which is pretty exciting. So Chantel and I'll be back here. Very exciting. Come and join us. I believe I've got it scheduled. It'll be 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on Tuesday, the 11th of October. We'll see you then.